Hello and welcome back. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Erin.
And this is the Getaways Podcast.
Okay, so today I'll probably be doing a lot more talking than Lisa.
Because I don't do this.
Because we're going to talk about driving in Europe because it's a thing. And I don't know if enough people know all the ins and outs and the quirks and because we've had quite a few experiences in driving.
Well, and Jonathan's the one who actually suggested that we do this podcast because he's driven a bit here and he was like, there's just things people need to know.
Yeah.
So, and the more we thought about it, we were like, it's totally true.
Yeah.
It's not like driving in the US and there's different rules and quirks and all kinds of things. So
if you're coming over and you're going to rent a car, this is the episode for you. So we've driven in 15 countries in Europe so far.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little something different in every single one.
No, to back up a little bit, and we've talked about this specifically to every place, but trains are fantastic and they're great. But there's lots of little things along the way that are or off the beaten path that you wouldn't have if you didn't have a car or a way to drive specifically to that location.
Correct.
So obviously it's totally a choice, but we're just, if cars are in your future, listen to this.
Yes. So one of the first things I will say, if you're coming from America and probably coming from any other country that's not in Europe, a lot of countries require international driver's permits.
Right.
And what I found out they are, and I don't know how, but they're just considered translated driver's license, but they're in English.
They're in English,
So
right?
I don't understand that. But you can get them only at AAA, I believe.
I think you can do them at the DMV now too.
Can you?
But I know for sure AAA. But check the DMV if there's not one
go
close.
to the DMV.
Well, nobody ever wants to go, period. But AAA is not really all that much fun either.
Well, the one in Laguna, I will say, is very nice, very posh. And they're about $20. They last for a year. You have to be in the United States to get them. So if you're already in Europe, you can't get an international driver's license. So just keep that in mind. But countries that do require them is Italy keeps coming up as requirement, but every time for years that we rented a car or got pulled over, no one asked for an international driver's license.
Yeah, I think that the rules and laws are changing pretty recent for international driver's license, which I'll tell you all a story about that and as soon as we get through this part.
Okay, so, but for sure, Italy, Spain, Slovenia, the Czech Republic, Croatia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina, they all state that they require a international driver's license.
Right. Now, one country that's not on that list that 100% does is Poland as well.
Because I have not driven or been to Poland, so Lisa can tell a Polish story.
So I was working with the World Central Kitchen right after the war broke out in the Ukraine. So there was obviously like a pretty substantial group of Americans that had come in to help feed people. And one of the women that I got to know pretty well had rented a car when she got there to drive to the border and back. And she got pulled over one night driving to her hotel. And she did not have an international driver's license. And she got arrested. She got taken in. I mean, it wasn't like, that sounds super dramatic. Like they were super nice to her and stuff, but they held her for 5 hours trying to figure out what to do.
What a story. You were in Polish prison?
Well, and and, luckily because she was working with World Central Kitchen, she had the resources to have people come in and be able to translate and to be able to explain, this was very special circumstances of her coming in, but it was a very new law at that moment. So it was 4 years ago, almost exactly. But so they didn't know, the country didn't even know how to handle it, how to prosecute or, what kind of ticket it was or all of that. So that's why they held her for so long. And it was very, very complicated.
And they kept her car, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which was a rental. And they said that she shouldn't have been rented to, which was interesting because then people who came after her had problems renting if they didn't have the driver's license.
Okay.
After that experience and knowing what she went through, I'm always like, better safe than sorry. Like it takes 2 minutes to get it. It's not expensive.
Yeah.
Just so you have it just in case.
I would be better safe than sorry, especially because you just never know.
Right.
And what I will also say, backing up to Lisa's story and some instances that we had, not a lot of countries speak English. And there are some countries that English isn't their first language, but everybody does speak English. Italy, not one of them. Poland, probably not one of them.
Especially out in the country. Yeah.
So the less problems you have, the better, because it's hard to communicate if you don't speak their language.
Right.
So the next, I'm just going to should we just go down my notes?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next is police stops versus speed cameras. Coming from America and especially Oklahoma, because I don't know if they do it as much in California, but I just remember driving back and forth to college and driving back and forth in Oklahoma that cops would just be on the side. Yeah, they do it in California with speed radars, and then they pull you over right there. You don't get pulled over very often on the street. They have a lot of cameras in Europe, and you get the tickets living here, you get them like a week or two later.
Not in Italy.
Well, no, that is true. But especially if you're a tourist in Italy on a rental car, it could take up to 6 months for the ticket to come to you.
Yeah. I mean, both of my nephews have gotten tickets for speeding, which was like 5 kilometers over the speed limit. And they got them several months after they got back. Now, I will say both of those were cheap tickets, but where they get you is if you don't pay it right away, it's like 4 times what the actual ticket is. Like the fees for being like not within like 30 to 60 days. I don't remember how much it is, but it goes up to like €300 instead of 50. Like it's bananas.
Yeah.
So if you do get one of those tickets, and it could be up to 6 months after you get home or even more, pay it the second that you get it, because that makes a big difference.
And they're pretty much all you can pay online. So that makes it easy. Now, what I will say is people get a lot of tickets because they don't really sign the speed limits very well here. People just know what they are. Mm-hmm. But coming in as a tourist and not even sometimes knowing kilometers versus miles per hour, you just don't know how fast to go. Because I believe the first weekend we were here when we moved and then we went down to the Amalfi Coast, I think we got like 4 speeding tickets on the way because I had no idea what the speed limit was. So I'm going to tell you that typically in cities in Europe, it's 50 kilometers per hour, which is probably 30, 35 miles an hour.
My math is not good.
On rural roads, like little 1-lane highways and stuff outside of city center, it's between 80 to 90 kilometers in most European countries. And on highways, it's usually 130. There's some countries where it's 120, like Belgium. And then you can see if it changes from 130, they do sign that pretty well. In the Netherlands, during the day until 7 p.m. at night, it's 100 kilometers per hour. They don't want accidents. It has greatly reduced their accidents, but you're just really driving slow on the highway here. But being older now, I kind of like it. I don't mind it.
Well, and the speed cameras they're always marked, like on the freeways. Yeah. But if you're not paying attention, you will just bust through one, especially if you're like driving from country to country, it's constantly monitoring your speed.
Now, what I will say is I find with Google Maps, they're pretty good at knowing the speed limit where you are in particular. So I kind of rely on that, even though I know the speed limits. Now, Germany is a special beast because it has the Autobahn. And as everybody knows that knows cars, the Autobahn, there is no speed limit. But what I have found is they just stick up random 110 kilometers per hour every once in a while. I don't know if that's like a speed trap or if there's a reason for that, but they also don't have a lot of accidents on the Autobahn, which I think is people just know how to drive, I guess.
Well, I think that there's, in my experience coming from LA, I feel like drivers are less distracted here.
Yes.
People are not on their phones, which is a big fat law everywhere.
Yeah.
Like even if you're holding your phone, you will get busted.
Well, because they have cameras now that can see into your car.
Yeah. So, and it's like a €400 fee. I mean, it is nothing to mess around with. But there's no, there, especially like in the Netherlands where there's so many bikes, like people, you just can't be distracted. Like you have to be present all the time. And then same thing in Italy. I mean,
I was the worst in America.
With
Jonathan,
your phone. Yeah.
I know you're listening. I'm sure you can attest to that. I was the worst. Moving to Italy, once I started driving in Italy, which we'll get to Italy in a second, it's chaotic. It is the wild, wild west out there on the road. So I just wasn't comfortable having a phone near me at all. Yeah. And then in the Netherlands, they don't mess around.
Yeah. Well, there's too many bikes. There's too many things that could happen in a second, Okay, so wait, you talked about not being pulled over, but Italy does have a special version of pulling you over.
Oh, we call them the lollipop kids. So in Italy, is it the Carabinieri that does
I think
it?
so.
They like to do stops. So they do stops for alcohol, which we're going to get to in a second. They do stops to make sure that your car is registered because That's how they get money to fix the roads. They do stops just because I think they can sometimes. They used to, when I did not have an Italian driver's license, but I had an American driver's license, but when I should have had an Italian driver's license, they always did stops at the bottom of our hill to go up to our house. Oh, it was like a daily stressor,
Okay, but you have to explain what it is. So basically, they stand on like the street and they have what looks like a big lollipop, but one side is red and one side is green. And when they want to pull you over, they just hold up the red and you're expected to just pull over.
Yeah, and they won't chase you if you don't. I'd never, because
they're on foot. What are they going to do?
Well, they've got a car there. They'd have to run and get in their car. But yeah, it's crazy. They do a lot of stops in Italy, and I don't know why. But yeah, so in Italy especially, just be careful.
Just look out for the lollipop king.
Lollipop kids. And another thing when you're renting a car or driving in Europe is you need to do a little research. I'm going to try to put up a post this week that has the countries that have them. But a lot of countries, you have to buy a vignette, which is it's comparable to America registration stickers that you have to put on your windshield, right? So some countries you can buy for a week, like Austria. And some countries you have to buy a whole year, like Switzerland.
Yeah.
And Belgium's thinking about doing one that's going to be €100 a year. Can you believe that?
Well, Switzerland's is up there too, isn't it? 80?
I think Switzerland's 40 for the year.
But it's francs too, so it's a little bit higher. But I thought it was more than that.
No, I don't. But €100 a year.
But it's in lieu of, so there's a lot of countries like France.
France, we're talking about you, bud.
Where you have stops periodically. What is it called? It's a big T. Of where you
T
go
is
in.
telepass.
Yeah, okay.
But it's like toll roads.
Toll roads, okay.
Yeah.
So basically they can stop you a lot.
In France, I felt like every 15 minutes you were going through a toll road.
Yeah.
And in northern Italy. Like getting to Milan is expensive.
And it can get very, very expensive. Like Milan to Torino is like €30.
€30. I'm going to tell you something. Monaco France is €120.
Yeah.
I mean,
to drive.
That's not including gas.
Yeah.
Like we're just talking about toll. France is the worst. They have great. I mean, that's why. But.
Right. But so anyway, the idea is that these vignettes sort of is in lieu of toll roads.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. So you either pay for the ability to drive in the country for free after that, or you get stopped along the way and have to pay numerous times, with the exception of a few countries.
Netherlands, Belgium, Germany,
Luxembourg.
Sweden didn't require a vignette, but I think they just have cameras, and then I keep getting like, oh, you owe 71 cents for driving on this section of the highway.
Yeah. And we did see, because remember I kept pulling out my wallet because it kept saying toll.
Yeah,
and so I was like, we're going to pay. And then it was like, they never stopped us.
They're a very advanced country.
Or sneaky, one of the two.
But it's not, that part wasn't, going over the bridges to get into Finland, I will tell you, is expensive.
To get into Sweden.
Oh, into Sweden.
Yeah.
But the toll roads are not.
Well, the tunnels in general are expensive here because if you're going into like the Alps too from Italy or France, it's
like $70.
Super one way.
Yeah. We've talked about this before when we were talking about Chamonix, I believe. But yeah, getting through the tunnels into the Alps is crazy expensive. So just do a checkout, because I will tell you why. We drove to Croatia one summer, and to get from Italy to Croatia, you go through Slovenia. And we've been to Slovenia several times.
Yeah. Didn't
know you needed a vignette until this particular summer. And we're driving and we're at the Slovenian border.
Like literally.
Like Slovenia meets Croatia border.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so we had already driven through Slovenia and we were almost out. And I don't think Croatia is part of the Schengen. So we had to go through border control there.
Yeah.
And we get pulled over by... Well, we were in the lane already, in the border area.
Oh, yeah.
And the cop motioned us to come over and was like, where's your vignette? And we were like, I had no idea we needed one. Well, I got popped for like €300, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was expensive.
Like €300. And I had to pay right there on the spot. And then they gave us the vignette. And then we went on our merry way. But then it happened again in Czech Republic.
Yeah. Now, this time was dramatic.
Oh, yeah. I said people don't get pulled over.
Yeah, they
like
did
chased
here.
by, oh yeah.
So this big cop van like pulls up in the lane next to us. Like everybody turns around and looks at us like this super weird way. And then they zoom in front of us. And then there's this like, what would you even call it?
Like a little ticker. You know, like a ticker
like on the bottom of the news.
Yeah.
Except it's in the window of this van and it's like pull over in like 54 languages. Follow us. And it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
And the Czech Republic, you don't know much about Eastern Europe. Like I am now, but at that point I wasn't as comfortable there as I am in like France.
Well, and again, you've got a language issue because, that's not one that flows off of our tongues easily. And you don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, and we've got foreign plates. I mean, we've got, the Netherlands plates. So they know that we're not locals. They know that they can probably, get us for all kinds of things that we were unaware of. So it was jarring.
And this was not our first time driving in the Czech Republic.
No.
So we had no idea.
Yeah.
So just check and make sure. Again, we had to pay on the spot. It was like $27. It was nothing.
And they were nice.
So nice. But again, just check where you're going and see if they need vignettes. I'll put it on the website this week. So, but that's something just to know.
Didn't they want to look in the back of the car too?
Did they?
I think so. But our car was so packed for summer that they were like, oh, no, thanks. You're more trouble than you're worth, lady.
Okay, so I went over speed limits. So let's just talk real quick about alcohol limits because it's lower than in America. And I don't think people think about it. You come on vacation, you're in Italy, you go to wine tastings, you get in your car and you drive through little towns. But the alcohol limits here are very low. They're 0.05 compared to 0.08 in America. So it's about one glass of wine.
But even stricter than that in some places.
Well, Sweden is a 0.02, so you shouldn't drive, but you don't need to because the trams are great there. And in the Czech Republic, it's a 0. You cannot have any alcohol in you when you're driving.
You got to even watch out for mouthwash then, huh?
Yeah. But when you're in Prague, which probably most people, that's where they're going the first time.
You don't need a car
at all. So drink away. Drink that Czech beer. It's delicious. But just beware because I do know that in Italy, they do outside of some wine regions. They'll be out there just checking. So but you don't want to go to Italian jail.
Probably the case everywhere you should be aware of, but just specifically to being on vacation and feeling like there's no rules.
Yeah, there are. Also, when you rent cars, most cars here are manual.
Which you can get automatic, but you've got to seek them out and they're usually more expensive.
Yes. Now, what I will tell you a funny story about having manuals. I went back to America. Was it the first year or second year?
I think the second.
Second year we lived here and I drove a automatic car the whole time I was back in America. And then it was the beginning of summer and then I came back and we went on vacation. And so we're driving my manual car and I forgot that it was a manual car. And so I was convinced on the highway in Italy that we didn't have any brakes.
When we were going like
130 kilometers an hour. Yeah. And I'm weaving in and out of traffic going, we've got no brakes until it dawned on me. And I think I waited a little while to tell you that's what
until my blood pressure was all the way through.
I was like,
roof.
Oh, look at that. It works now.
It's just, it fixed itself. I was like, what? It just fixed itself?
So if you want an automatic car, if you're not comfortable driving manual cars, you've got to reserve it in advance. And also you should know that most cars in Italy, especially not so much here, are diesel. So just when you fill up your gas, you need to check that out too, because I've not made the mistake, but I do know people who have made the mistake.
And usually diesel's cheaper, not right now in the world because of what's happening in Iran, but usually it is cheaper.
Yes.
So it's not a bad thing to have a diesel car, but you just need to know the difference.
And gas is expensive here, like a lot more expensive than it is in the United States. So keep that in mind. That's where they get you. Other things to know. There's a lot of roundabouts here instead of traffic lights, which I like. Do you like
the roundabouts?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just a passenger.
Yeah.
So like I don't have to think about anything. But I'm a really good passenger.
So there's a ton of roundabouts. In fact, there's 40,000 alone in France. And so there's just a few things you should know. The people in the roundabout have the priority. Like you have to,
As opposed to the people coming in, you mean?
you have to yield to them, and you're supposed to signal to exit the roundabout. So a lot of people in France and Italy, I never noticed it, but I do notice in the Netherlands, everybody signals to exit. So just keep that in mind. But it's really, I like the roundabouts because I hate sitting at lights.
Right.
Like I feel like it's a lot. Another thing that I learned during getting my driver's license here that I didn't know is that the priority always goes to the people on the right. So even if you're on a busy street and there's somebody coming in from your right from a less busy street, they still have the priority to turn. So just keep that in mind. I guess what I'm saying is when you're driving, you just kind of got to be aware of everything. And another thing is like in more of the old cities like Florence and Rome, you cannot drive you think you can because other people do, but you cannot drive in the old centers because you have to have special permits to do that. You will get a very big fine.
Yeah. Well, and with good reason. I mean,
oh my God.
Nobody should be driving in Florence.
No. And then parking that's where they get you to. I got lots of parking tickets.
Right.
Retroactive. So parking in Europe, the blue lines are paid parking. There's metered parking, and then there's residential parking, which you cannot park in. It's usually white lines. And the easiest way to pay for these is with Easy Park, which is pretty much everywhere now, I think. It's an app.
Is it in the U.S.?
Well, it's pretty much everywhere in Europe.
Okay, but it's an app that you can go on and you put in there'll be a zone on the sign.
Yeah.
And then you'll put in how long you want to be there and you'll pay for it right there. Then you can change it. Like it's not set in stone how long you stay, but you can, whenever you realize that your time's running out, you can add time or subtract time, whatever, but it's all from the app and the zone on the sign near the parking ticket.
Which I would suggest getting that because we have found many times trying to pay in the machines, we just don't understand how to do it.
Well, and sometimes they are like, you can't use cards or you can't use cash or like there's always an issue.
Yeah. So we should talk about kinds of cars that you'd want to rent when you come to Europe. I guess it would be depending on where you are. If you're going to the Alps, a nice SUV would probably be a good thing.
A compact SUV. Nobody wants a big car here.
Well, so that's what I'm getting to. That anywhere you go in Europe, the streets are narrow, the towns are old. Don't get a Escalade. Like, don't get a big giant car because you're going to have problems. We had you're going to have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
We had a Jaguar SUV when we lived in Italy, which was not a big SUV. It wasn't.
No.
It was like a mid-size SUV. And we were driving in Sorrento trying to get to Positano. Mm-hmm. And we turned, following Google Maps, not always a good idea, but we turned onto the street and it had rock fences on both sides.
I thought it was houses.
Oh, the houses came all the way up to
yeah.
And we could not fit.
No,
like,
literally could not fit. Like we would have gotten stuck.
And it took us a good 20, 25 minutes to maneuver out of that situation. Moral of the story is the smaller the car, the better.
Yeah. Oh, when you're renting a car, you should, depending on what time of year it is, there's winter tires that will be required in
mandatory.
most places. Yeah. And it also, all the cars in Europe when you rent will come with a very neon vest. And should you have to get out and fix anything in your car, by law, you have to put on the vest.
Yeah. Okay. So driving between countries, you should do it. You should rent the car and drive because it's not far. It's not hard.
Absolutely. But sometimes you need to tell them if you're crossing borders too, for insurance purposes.
Yes, you do. You do. But it's so funny because my brother always is like, oh, what do you mean you went to Paris for the weekend? And I was like, well, it's like driving from Los Angeles to San Diego.
Right.
So everything's pretty compact. So it's easy to drive and it's fun to drive. And by driving, you get to experience one of our favorite things about about Europe in general, which is
rest stops.
Rest stops.
They are, and I know we've talked about this on other podcasts too, but especially the Italians, the Austrians, and the French to a certain extent.
The French do okay.
But the rest stops have literally everything that your little heart could desire. I mean, it's got super decent food, usually like really great sandwiches. Usually there's hot food options, all kinds of pastries and dessert items.
It's so good.
If you're going somewhere where you need a gift, there's always like a wine section, there's flowers, there's like local delicacies too, like in north of France, like in Normandy, there are caramels in all the rest stops.
Near Bologna, there's an Italy rest stop, which is...
Yeah, that's
if you know what Italy is, it's amazing.
And there's a huge dog park there too.
There is. I will say France does the dog rest stops, not the dog rest stops. They do the rest stops, not necessarily the inside the best, because I think Italy has that. But they do the actual rest stops. They have so many walking trails and parks around their rest stops. It's just...
And playgrounds.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, no,
it's
that's
really
true.
nice.
I mean, there's, it's intended to really give you a rest, not, and like get you sort of active and outside. So it's a nice opportunity to really take a break from driving.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and also that's where you can buy, I don't know if we said, but the vignettes you buy at the gas stations.
Yes, before you enter the country. There'll usually be signs that says vignettes at the next place. All right. So I think we've kind of run through everything.
Yeah. You can also obviously like hit us up if you've got questions and stuff and you want to hear more about this, or if there's something specific that you don't understand, totally reach out to us, because this is something that Erin knows quite well.
I do.
And I've seen when I'm through the passenger window. The other thing I didn't know anybody doing before, but it totally makes sense, and it's a stupid little thing. But if there's like cars that are suddenly stopping, everyone turns on their hazards.
Oh yeah, I do like the hazards.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, hey, look at me, I'm stopped.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just a nice double check of like,
and then you keep your hazards on until the person behind you, till you see them and they have their hazards on.
Yeah.
So just some other quick things. Always stay out of the left lane unless you're passing, especially in the Netherlands and Belgium and Denmark. You really, really got to it's a bike country, and bikes get all the laws. They have all the rights, and they have bikes rule. So even if a bike runs into you, you're at fault. So just be cautious. Know the roundabout rules. Download the parking apps. Easy Park that we talked about. There's one in Belgium called Pay by Phone, and another one called Park Mobile, but I've never used that. And don't drive into the historic centers, even if you think you want to. Don't do it. And pay attention at the gas stations, because we said like a lot of cars are diesel, and I believe that regular gas nozzles will fit into a diesel gas tank, but a diesel nozzle will not fit into a regular. So just keep that in mind. Watch out for speed changes, because they're all over the place. Don't assume everything is open late. I can't tell you how many times we've been somewhere and needed gas, not necessarily on the highways, but off the highway, and gas stations close at like 7.
Yeah.
A lot of them will have automatic things, but sometimes they don't work. And that's it. I would say to be careful in France at gas stations, because sometimes credit cards don't work, but I think it's just Dutch cards.
No, Dutch, or in France, you cannot use a PIN. You can't use contactless, the tapping, for anything over 50 euro.
Oh, so you've got to go in
So
and
you've
pay.
got to either put your card in, or if that doesn't work, you have to go in and pay. So, but that is across the board. That's with everything in France, whether you're in a restaurant, buying gas, grocery store, no matter where you are, if it's over 50, you cannot tap.
Okay, well, so that's it. It was a little all over the place. I'm going to try to do a big post about it this week. But if you do have questions, just email me. I can answer any other questions you might have. But it's a thing. It's so worth driving here, but it's definitely, you got to be aware of stuff.
Of stuff. All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Well, I hope you guys have a really good week, and we'll see you next week.
And wait, just one quick thing. Spring is in the air. Do you guys feel it out there that it's getting warmer? We're very excited. All right, that's all. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.